Hello guys, what's up? This is ScherBR talking. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video we'll be talking about global exclusive Romancing Saga 2 banner. Yes, this banner is hype because we got 3 very strong styles. Just like we had with global summer exclusives, this time we have a lot of good things to talk about. Well, it's time for Leon, Final Emperor and Final Empress. They shake the meta because of their unique styles. Let me explain by starting with Leon. Well, Leon is the best one of the bunch. There are reasons for that. He does have something very special about him. Well, Leon is a slash and sun damage dealer, with the first skill being Silver Sword. This one he stole from Mirza. Yeah, from Platinum Mirza. This skill here is very powerful for the coast. It's only 4 BP and it's B power, very good if you want to do short cycles of damage. But actually, this guy will hardly use this skill because his second and third skill are just so powerful. The second one is Steel Blade Light. Guys, remember the skill here? This is the same skill that Mirza has, UDX Mirza. Well, it's triple S power with 10 BP coast that deals both slash and sun and restores HP. Well, that is around 600 HP for current status. That is extremely good. It also gives the user taunt stance. Well, he does not have much endurance or even will, to be honest, so this can be used against him, but the usage of this is so good on boss fights because the healing is important. We have to use LP to heal in this game, save for some very special units like Mirza and him. Another character that can compete against Merceting. Merceting has an AoE heal, but she uses LP. She can only use that twice in a boss fight. Leon and Mirza can use it forever, as long as they have BP. Leon now becomes a replacement for UDX Mirza for those that don't have, but he can also be used together. Depending on the boss fight, this allows you to just sustain for a lot. Leon is good as a damage dealer, but not the best damage dealer of this bunch. The best one is Final Emperor. So this already gives him enough value to just chase this banner, because UDX Mirza was released alongside other Platinum ones that were not as special because they could be gotten in future banners. So this is already a good sign, but Leo has more. He has the skill called Imperial Glory, and this one is amazing. It opens with a sheep AoE Sun spell. Yeah, it opens with a spell and then uses a skill. So that means that Leon is better using a light plus weapon. In this event we get a Great Sword light weapon, but not what Leon deserves. So he still does not have the best thing. You can use normal weapons with light plus if you want, or you can just ignore, because this is the weak part of the skill. But let's look in Imperial Glory effect. The first hit, it's just a spell with the sun element, brings a AoE buff to the whole squad that will buff all status for medium effect. Medium effect is 30%, that's the same value as Matriarch. Nal's daughter buffs 25. Nal's daughter uses way less BP, but she does not do damage. So it may be useful for boss scenarios, but it can only be reduced to 13, so only on turn 2. But okay, we have fast. He will go first and use this spell that won't do much damage, and then he will just use another skill called Imperial Sword. This skill here is very powerful. It says A power, we don't know exactly the modifier, but it's both slash and sun this time, and it's a skill, so it's based on his physical status and not on his intelligence, because the first one uses intelligence. And also, something very interesting is that he was missing the first hit a lot when I was playing. The reason is just because the first hit uses agility and intelligence to determine the accuracy. The second hit uses dexterity only to determine the accuracy of the skill. So it's a mix. This guy is kind of a hybrid, but you can't ignore the spell part of the skill because it's not what matters. What matters is getting this skill used as a fast. Well, he competes with building, but he brings 2 elements. Very nice thing. And also we do have some Sun AoE with Noble Cross going for Mikhail and Xenon. Xenon can also do that on turn 1 in the future with his future style. But still, it brings 2 elements, very nice combination. Also brings buff. That means that if you are using this on turn 2 in some particular event, it will also buff the damage from the second character that attacks after him. But usually if you are just using normal standard farming, you will use this skill, finish a wave, next wave you don't get the buff. The buff will not be used. This is similar to what we do with the second version of Fuse. Fuse kills a wave, so the morale buff that comes from him will not matter. That's what happens. But in particular scenarios where the boss is on the second wave and the first wave is just normal enemies, it will help you deal more damage. Now give you a look on his status. As you can see, he needs almost all his status to perform. It's very funny, he's one of the first characters that'll get all status maxed, because everything here has a reason to exist. The first being STR, yeah, he needs more damage. He's still a fast attacker, he'll be used in second turn for many farming scenarios. 95% is not the best one that we can get, but it's good enough. We have 16 bonus here as well, meaning that he's still a damage dealer. But then we have only 53 endurance. It's even lower than Mirza. Yeah, UDX Mirza doesn't have high endurance. Some people even complain that he dies too fast, and people may sometimes use the Platinum style and inherit the Steel Blade Light just to survive better. But Mirza also heals when attacking, with a different chance, not just from Steel Blade Light, meaning that sometimes he just gets healed by himself without having to stress out second off healer. But this will not happen with Leon. He will receive a little more damage and also be a little more fragile. When he gets taunt, because Steel Blade Light gives him taunt, he will just get more attacked. So you should use him alongside defensive compositions that increases resistance, like maybe Georg or also the global exclusive final Empress, so that he receives less damage. Then he has 71 dexterity. I think this is good enough. Right now some characters are missing in romancing boss fights because the agility from bosses are very high now. But 71 is kind of the minimum standard right now. His agility is 74 and he has a bonus for agility. I don't know why he has a bonus for agility. I wish it was for other status, because he does not need agility. He has a fast attack and the other attack is delayed. So these two more important attacks don't need agility at all. But agility is also used for the accuracy of his first hit on the third skill. So okay, good enough. His intelligence is terrible on 44%, so the first hit from Imperial Glory will be very weak indeed. So that is something that needs to be considered as well. Now we have 62 for Will. 62 higher than 53, so he's better for magical attacks, but that's not very different from UDX Mirza as well. They are very fragile on this regard. He does have 61 love, and he even has an arrow for love. It's interesting because he can inherit from his free pass style Moonlight, a spell that can heal and also increase damage from morale up. So having higher love means that he heals better. And the charisma is 55, meaning that even if he heals himself, he heals good. Also, love helps Steel Blade Light heal to the whole squad. So as you can see, there's only one problem that I see with his build. His intelligence and agility may be too low. Sometimes you need both to be high to hit the first hit. Remember, accuracy is based on the combination of both status. When I was testing him, he was missing the first hit against Kazinsi in this event. So, well, I was ignoring that completely and just looking on the damage from Imperial Sword. Yeah, if Imperial Sword was doing enough damage, I was just ignoring the damage from the first hit, especially because I was using a normal weapon and not a weapon with the light element. And now we give a look at the abilities. The first one is War Cry. He stole this skill from Tower Gerard. Yes, Tower Gerard has the same one. It increases 5% for Slash and 5% for Sun, meaning that he gets 10% in the skills that have both elements, the first, the second, and the second hit of the third skill. That's good enough, 10% to him and to everyone in the squad. So Sun squads now are very powerful because of him. And there are many slash damage dealers that also bring Sun. Now Final Emperor, Final Empress, there is also Mirza, Albert, Matriarch, very good styles that you can use. The second passive, called Imperial Assault, will give the whole squad 10% increasing damage for 1/3. This is amazing. Remember Jo? Jo sometimes helps the team with 5%, and she allows sometimes, well, Red to kill a wave, or maybe Rufus to hit the damage that he wants. Now we get 10%. It's even higher than Jo buff. And if the character in your setup has either Slash or Sun, it gets even more. So It's an amazing passive to be used alongside what we already have. In boss fights, this loses potential, yeah, after turn 1, but for farming, he's good enough. This guy was actually made for the boat content, so he suffers a little by having everything for farming, but in boss fights, passive number 2 just disappears from turn 2 onwards. But it's good enough for farming, of the best passives that we have for team building right now. And then the last one is Fired Up 5. Fired Up 5 is 20% increasing damage. Also, another thing about Imperial Assault is that we have characters that can buff like Blunt, 10% Blunt for 1 turn, and they are good, like, say, Fuse can do that, or also Summer Elizabeth. And what we have here is something that works for all damage types, but Summer Elizabeth does give 3 times in a boss fight, turn 1, 2, and 3, but he will not give that. It's only on the start of a round, can only trigger once in a boss fight. But for farming, it's amazing, and has no competition on this regard, while being one of the best characters to be using in Rainbow Rangers, that you can use different times if you want. You can even be placed on the loft position like I do with Mirza many times. He will just help the squad damage without even participating in the fight. So support is a very good thing about this guy. So even himself gets some buffs here. If you compare, you have Fired Up 5 with 20, then 30 with Imperial Assault, and 40 for most of his skills with Warcry. 40% on turn 1, 30% on turn 2 onwards for himself, apart from the squad buff. Now for Inheritance, Leon has 3 different other styles to get. They are from normal banners, and there's this one that is from Welfare, and everyone could get it in this event. It probably returns in the future as well if you miss it. And the first skill called Moonlight is what matters the most. This one revives and heals if needed, so he has Steel Blade Light. He only heals those that are alive. If you need to revive someone, you have Moonlight. That is something that Mirza does not have access to, and makes him a little different and matter in most situations. And also you will need a light plus weapon, or just a light version of Sword to use with Leon to increase the heal power from Moonlight. You can also train this to get to max rank, to get the highest healing. And it was buffed in global, it gives morale up medium, so it's 25 boost to damage when you get this applied to a character. It lasts for 2 turns, it also can be used well to increase the damage of someone like, well, Rufus, if you are in overdrive. You can use this before and he will get more damage. Mirage Blade can also be used because it's an AoE attack that is now upgraded in global for Mirage Blade Plus. The thing is, he already has a very good skill as a nuke. I don't think you need to use Mirage Blade ever. He's more useful for his 3rd skill that will do good enough damage. So Leo is amazing. This guy can be used in almost all content if you want, although he's not exactly the best farmer for current weekly events like Dojo or Zwig. You use other characters that have cheap AoEs. He's not made for that. He's made for Final Island and for standard farming for events or story, because he would just use Imperial Glory. And it's so good because he would never attack on turn 1 if you awaken Steel Blade Light, because it has delay. He tries to use delay attack on turn 1, he does not attack. You use other characters to attack, and on turn 2 he will always use Imperial Glory. It's very well designed. This guy is amazing. He is a triple S character in my book. I will be adding him on next week update to the tier list. Leon is the best of the bunch. Time to talk about Final Emperor, and he does bring Slash and Sun, just like Leon and even just like Final Empress, but he does have 2 different cyclings, one for single target and one for AoE. Final Emperor can do many different things as well by inheritance, but we'll be talking about this later. First, we have Sun Flash. It's an AoE attack with cheap post and okay damage because of his passives and also his own STR. It should be very useful, and it also reminds me a little of the limited version of Madeline that also has a 4 BP AoE slash plus elemental attack. In his case is Sun, her case is Lightning. It's very strong because of the passives, and you'll be using this because of one of his cyclings. Then we have double Sun Slash. This one is again Slash and Sun, and it uses only 6 BP for 2 hits. The damage may not seem that high, but imagine just doing this first skill twice, but using 6 BP instead of 4. This makes it good for single target damage. and may not be as strong as Double Crush, of course, but if you are using a double S weapon, you get a lot of value out of this, and he can just keep using it more and more. If you have an inheritance from his New Year style, the S style that has Flowering Plum, you can just keep cycling between Flowering Plum and Double Sun Slash. It's good because it's very cheap. You can keep constantly damage your boss without having to wait many turns. And then we have Imperial Sword. Imperial Sword is amazing. It says that it's A. We don't know the exact multiplier for this. As you can see here, it's a very cool animation as well. It's the same attack that Leon uses with the second part of his skill. And as you can see, it uses only 14 BP. And if you remember well, Summer Final Empress has also an A power AoE skill for turn 1. That is also both Slash and Sun. They will just pair well together. I don't know which one is stronger since we don't know the real modifier for this skill, but he can be used on turn 1. And because it costs only 14, it allows him to attack 3 times in a row with AoE. Why? Because this guy has Power Charge 3. He starts with 13, so he only uses 11. He has enough to just follow up with Sun Flash 2 times. So very nice if you kill your enemy on turn 1 and you have someone to deal higher damage on turn 2 or turn 3. If this other character cannot do it by itself, Final Emperor will just help. This was something that Summer Final Empress could not do. She uses Elegant Sands and then she does not have an AoE follow-up. Final Emperor fixed this problem and has probably the same damage or even a little higher. Very nice for Final Emperor because Summer Final Empress was already very strong by herself. She also has a fast attack inheritance, so they are competing, but they are still very different, and it's just not power creep here in this case. But he's better than Final Empress Summer style, since he has an easy cycling. So now let's give a look on his status, and as you can see, he has double arrows for STR, Endurance, and Will. Interesting because it looks like he is wanting to tank a little, right? But he's not a tanker, he's just a damage dealer. He gets 100% for STR, to make him a good nuker. That's the current base for nukers in the game, plus 16, and as a bonus, he gets bonus for Endurance. Funny, I wanted to have this for agility since he could attack faster with that, but he does have good status for everything that he uses. 82 for Endurance, 75 for Dexterity, so that he does not miss on current enemies. 80% on agility is good for, well, Final Emperor, since he's pretty slow with his Termite version. And he does have very low intelligence, love, and charisma, things that he really do not need anymore. And good will with 71. So this guy will receive less damage when used in boss fights and keep getting more and more damage by using cheap attacks that do constant damage. And that is kind of good because if you want to use him on the front of a Tiger Shark formation that also increases SDR, he will not be receiving too much damage since he will be more attacked. And now we need to talk about his passives. Well, the first one is Power Charge 3. This one gives him plus 3 BP, like I was already saying. That allows him to use Imperial Sword on turn 1 and then some Flash 2 times. And that makes him very strong, especially if you are using a double S weapon. And the second one is Valiance. That means that when everyone is alive in your setup, he increases his own damage by 20%. This is just having fired up 5 if everyone is alive. Very good, and also better than sometimes when you have a character with weak point focus, because like the Azura fight right now, Azura is not weak to anything. So Final Emperor becomes very strong since he will just attack with neutral damage and will be one of the strongest ones for neutral damage. But that is if he gets an inheritance, we'll talk about this later. Then Fired Up 5 has increasing damage by 20% as well, so he gets 40% if the whole gang is alive. But if you are farming, you don't want enemy to attack anyway, you are with all your characters alive all the time. So damage will be good, and if you are using him on defensive formations for boss fights and everyone is alive, he always gets constant 40% increase, even when not hitting weak points. That's pretty strong and impressive. Now I need to discuss inheritance here. I do have all the different styles of Final Emperor, and if you have a lot of different usages for this guy. Let's talk about the first one. Final Emperor base version can give you Dark Blade. That's a triple S attack that can now be fired up on turn 1. Yes, because he has Power Charge 3. Dark Blade is not the best nuke from Final Emperor, but that can work if you don't have Termite Final Emperor. Termite Final Emperor has double Dark Blade. Double Dark Blade is a double hit S attack, and if you remember, this one is a better version of the double crush attack, but you can never use this on turn 1. Final Emperor was only a turn 2 onwards damage dealer because of being an upgrade over double crush. Now you have an option to use this on turn 1 since you start with 13. Double Dark Blade with this global exclusive Final Emperor will be very, very strong. Also, a problem with this version of Final Emperor was the agility. That was very bad, as you can see it by here, only 57. So he was always behind and sometimes attacking after the enemy. This will not happen with this new version of Final Emperor. This is the best thing that you can inherit. And the last one that we can inherit stuff is the S limited style Final Emperor. This one was released alongside Nawal's Daughter and ScherBR banner, but also recently when we got a banner that has limited A and S styles. I don't know if you saw one on that banner, but if you did, you can take advantage of 2 skills here. Flowering Plum, this is an attack that uses only 2 BP but recovers 1, so essentially you are only using 1 BP. And you can use this every time that you use Double Sun Flash. So Double Sun Flash once, Flowering Plume next, and just keep cycling between this so you always have BP available to keep doing constant damage. That is for long fights. And if you want, you can also inherit Will Swing, and you can upgrade this to Will Swing Plus. And Will Swing Plus is an AoE S power attack with 13 BP cost. That is one of the strongest AoE attacks in the game. And when used by this new version of Final Emperor, you will do a lot of damage on turn 1. I mean, a lot. And he's the only one capable of doing this on global because, well, it's 13 BP. Grey came close. The newest version of Grey has 12 BP on start, but he cannot use Will Swing Plus. So now you have finally a character that can use this. Well, it's not a fast attack, but it can clear many waves. You can use this to help in Final Island and in events where you have many minions. Sadly, it's not a fast attack, but the damage is insane going for turn 1. So what do I think about Final Emperor? In my opinion, he's very strong now. One of the best AoE attackers that are not fast attackers. He does have good single target cyclings and AoE ones. If you don't have any inheritance, he's still good, but he misses turn 1 single target damage for nuke. Double Sun Flash may be better even in long fights, but if you are missing Double Dark Blade, you are not getting the best out of this Final Emperor, or even Will Swing Plus. But if you have the inheritances option, he's amazing. Without it, he's still very good, just will not be performing on max potential. If you have all those, I do recommend going for Final Emperor. He's an upgrade to Termite Final Emperor and was very needed since he was getting old. And the last one is Final Empress, and she's also very good. The thing is that she's not just a damage dealer. She's not a best damage dealer even. She's kind of supportive, but offers a very good nuke as well. The first skill is Half Moon, and this is only slash. And you can use this skill also with her Platinum style. I think that they just wanted to give her this attack since it's cheap, so that she can build up BP. Half Moon is C power and only 2 BP when you awaken. Good enough, I think, but Flowering Blue will be way better. They missed the opportunity here. And then the second skill is Imperial Shield, and guys, this skill was just released on JP with the newest version of Matriarch. And it's very niche, you will not be using this all the time, but it's very interesting. Imperial Shield will negate all damage from all enemies for 1 turn, but it uses 2 LP, so it's not something that you can use constantly. The cost is too high with 9 BP when you awaken, but it negates damage. But it does not negate status ailments, so if the boss deals an attack that can paralyze you, it will still paralyze you, but just not do damage. The bad thing, we almost never know what the boss does, so you can use this and the boss use something like buff or just focus with single normal attack instead of using the nukes. But if you are facing a boss like the recent Apollo boss, that you know exactly when he will nuke, then you can just use this and survive. But it's just a different type of strategy. We usually go for nuking, we go for evasion, or we go for status buff strategies. It's just another one that can be used in some scenarios, but it's kind of situational. You will not be using this on every boss fight, I can assure you. It's very costly with 9 BP, but imagine a situation where your boss has a very strong nuke right from turn 1. This means that you can negate turn 1 damage, and then you can just start with say, global exclusive immediate, and she debuffs agility twice if you get her ability to proc. And because Imperial Shield comes as fast, it means that you always use this before your enemy attack, allowing you to guarantee the turn 1 damage will be 0. Debuffing your boss and also buffing yourself, sometimes you can bring also Matriarch Norwal's Daughter, will allow you to receive less damage on turn 2. And then you can use this again in another circumstance, like when a boss has a nuke attack coming, when you know that it's attack that's coming. And the Final Empress still has a passive that allows her to revive, so even if she uses 2 LP, this is not the end for her. You can still use her in the boss fight. Okay, and then we have Quadruple Moonstrike, and this one seems to have stolen the Holy Rift attack animation. As you can see, it's massive. 4 hits, always 4 hits, there's no RNG in the skill, so Quadruple Moonstrike is Slash and Sun. Okay, nice, we have this again. And it deals E power. Well, it's very close to a normal attack damage, with just a little more than that if you upgrade this to level 99. But it's Slash and Sun. Uses 11 BP when you fully awaken. This comes with competition against someone that will come in the future, and that is the New Year version of Mirza. He gets a similar attack that can always hit 5 times instead, with 16 BP cost. So 13 when you decrease, and he can only use that on turn 2, just like this version of Final Empress. But there is a catch here. She gets 1 BP with every attack that she performs. So if you are attacking an enemy 4 times, you are getting back 4 BP. This is insane because you can keep constantly using this for more and more and more, especially in boss fights. There's only one thing that's bad about this. If you kill your enemy with this attack before performing 4 hits, you will not get the 4 BP back. So it depends. Depends if you are going first and not just attacking with 1 or 2 hits. But it's very impressive for boss fights, and I can already see this being used forever with me. But it's really impressive in boss fights because she was made for boss. She's a boss specialist. Now we need to give a look on her status to understand how she works. And as you can see, she does have an average STR for current standards on 90s only. She does have some bonus for it, so 16 bonus, 90s. It's okay, she's not the best damage dealer. She does have some good endurance, even passing Final Emperor. She has 80s on endurance and 82 on will. She even has bonus on will and double arrows for will. So that means that she's more for magical attacks than for physical, but the difference is just so very small. She can take all of those 2 hits. Her dexterity is good enough for current standards with 75, agility on 75 as well. She's not something that will be attacking before most of the other attackers, but good enough. Intelligence is very bad, she does not use spells, does not have debuffs as well. Her love and charisma are very low comparing to other style of her. What can we get from this? Well, she does have higher physical and magical resistance than her other styles, and okay STR, but she loses to someone that we need to discuss that is very recent, Summer Final Empress. You can give a look here and you will see that in boss fights, she's way better than Summer Final Empress. But she's not faster, she's not as strong as this version of Final Empress. And why? Because this one is for farming. Although you can still use this one as a off tank if you keep using Watermelon Cut, because it recovers. It's way better to use this attack instead in this new version of her, because of better status. Not just better status for defense, but also her abilities are made for tank. Let's explain this. So for passives we have Indomitable. This one gives her a 25% decrease in all damage. Very nice because she's very tanky. And then also gives her a one-time revive when she dies. She revives with 50% of her max HP. Well, that's good enough if she's placed on the front. It allows her to survive some very strong nukes, especially single target nukes. Another very interesting thing from Indomitable is that when she uses her Imperial Shield, she uses LP, meaning that she has less LP to survive in a boss fight. When she dies, she loses 1. But at least once, you will not lose LP and you will revive. So you have more chances to survive even after using Imperial Shield. Then we have Scrum Guard. This one is the same passive that we had with Jorg. This gives 20% decrease in damage when all allies are alive. To everyone, the whole squad. And if you know, I have been facing many of the romancing fights by using Jorg. because this passive is amazing when used alongside Tiger's Den. Tiger's Den decreases damage by 25%, and then we have Indomitable, 25% more. It does not stack as you think, it's not addictive, it's multiplicative. So it means that you get to stack those passives together, but it will never give you 100%. But that is good enough. She already gets a lot of reduction just to herself and also helps the squad survive better. And if you can stack her with Jorg as well, you get one of the best defensive strategies. If you have another buffer or even Nawal's daughter gives guard up. You can get Scrum Guard twice by using the two together or just herself. And then you can use guard up to decrease damage even further. So yeah, I think this is very strong for someone that can also deal damage. And then for the last one, we have Fardub 5. At least she has one passive to increase damage, because when she's not healing or not tanking, she can do damage. Yes, Fardub 5 increases her damage from quadruple Moon Strike. What do? Sometimes you can negate damage to the whole squad with Imperial Shield, and when you're not doing that, you can even heal by inheritance or use quadruple Moon Strike. Now they can revive and has very good heal, and also a morale up buff. When she's healing, she's also increasing damage. And Moon Flash gives her guard up. If you don't have a guard up specialist like Nawal's daughter or Minstrel, you can just use this to decrease damage even further. Or Lunar Blade Plus is also an option, became fast attack by using Amplify. But Lunar Blade Plus is better used with Final Empress Summer style. But if you don't have this version here, you still get more damage by using Global Exclusive 1 instead of the first award 1. But only on turn 2. Summer version also has a very interesting inheritance. That is Watermelon Cut. Watermelon Cut deals damage and also recovers with only 3 BP. So now you have a tankier version of Final Empress that can also reduce damage and heal by inheritance. Healing and dealing damage in a Tiger Shark formation seems very interesting for her. Or if you are using her with Tiger's Den to decrease damage even further, you can place her in the front. She will not be as attacked as in Tiger Shark, but at least it does help. Now let's talk about something reverse. What about inheriting Quadruple Moon Strike into Summer Final Empress? Summer Final Empress starts with 12 BP because of the second passive, meaning that she can open with Quadruple Moon Strike. She's already strong enough because of her AoE potential with Elegant Sense. That was the best Sun attack in the game for turn 1 damage. Now she competes with Final Emperor and Leon, but she can now do very strong, the highest possible Sun damage in turn 1. She may even beat many characters for Slash now. With 4 hits on turn 1, you get a lot of damage, especially because Summer Final Empress already has good passives. As you can see, she gets 15 with 20, 35% increase in damage in all times when you are on full HP, so turn 1 damage is insane. She also has very high agility, so you will not have problems to get this attack first. Look, she has plus 17 in 80s, very good, and she has higher damage potential than Global X. Global X is more defensive, so if you have Summer Final Empress, I totally suggest you to get this Global X Final Empress. She may even give you more value than just going for Final Emperor. So back to the banner image, is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, totally. This is one of the best banners we received in the game so far. These characters cover many roles. And remember when I said that Mirza was good enough that you could summon for his banner just for him? Well, he had Platinum styles in his banner. Or now in his return he has Death, that's not even that important anymore. In this banner you have Leon, that is better than Mirza for most content. And he also brings 2 other styles in his banner that are very powerful. One more offensive, other one more defensive, but they are still good. They still work without inheritance, although they are even better with inheritance. Leon can buff the squad with passive, he can deal single target nuke while healing as well. He has delay, so he's easy to use in farming and also in Final Island. He has an AoE nuke with fast. He also can heal single targets by inheritance, so Mirza cannot heal those that are down. He can even revive someone and then heal the whole squad. It's a lot of utility. Then we have Final Emperor with a very strong AoE opening and also constant cycling for AoE. That is even better than Summer Final Empress, but he will not top her because she now has access to the inheritance from quadruple attack from Global X Final Empress. So if you have the past styles of both Emperor and Empress, you'll be seeing yourself using them a lot. Final Emperor can also be strong in boss fights for long fights, and Final Empress now brings a lot of defense utility. Remember that Final Emperor gets stronger when everyone is alive, Final Empress gets even more defensive when everyone is alive. They were made to be used together, and I think that they will release content where they can be used together to max potential. But still, even in different situations, you wanna face a boss that has very strong AoE damage, bring Final Empress. She decreases damage and can also do damage her own. She can self-heal if you have inheritance, and that is good enough. Final Emperor will be used in the front line for those that are starting the game, like your full damage dealer that can survive better in the front line. And Leo will help a lot in future content with that fast attack and in farming scenarios. So this is your chance to get 3 very important styles in the game. I can say that Leon is the king, the king of the banner, but Final Emperor and Final Empress are not so far behind. Do you have Summer Final Empress? If you do, go for Leon first, then second one should be this Global X Final Empress, and then Global X Final Emperor as the last choice. Don't have Summer Final Empress, maybe go for Leon first, then Final Emperor second, and for last Final Empress. Especially if you have his other inheritance options. Why? Because Final Emperor can cover for what you miss in the AoE attack from Summer Final Empress. And if you already have Summer Final Empress and don't have Final Emperor, you already have a strong AoE, and now you get a single target nuke and also defense capabilities. So this is my opinion on this banner. What's yours? Please say here in the comments. I already summoned for all 3 styles, I already have them, and I'm very happy, even if I had to pity for the last one. I think they are good enough to justify. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helps you decide. If you didn't, if you want to support the channel, there are links in the description of the video. Please join our Discord server where we discuss SaGa and learn games as well. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.